Well, let's move on to your tip of the week here, Eric. And we're changing topics a little bit, but it's going to be kind of a nice segue into the interview segment we're about to do. Because the reality is, although the unemployment rate in the IT industry right now has actually been trending up a little bit, some of the pressure on MSPs to hire and retain is maybe easing a little bit. There is still an enormous talent shortage out there, and it's still, as research continually shows us, a pain point for MSPs to cope with that shortage. That's what your tip of the week is about.
Absolutely right, Rich. And the demand for skilled IT professionals is still outpacing supply, right? And we're seeing this in different, certifications or competency levels, especially in cybersecurity. And as you know, Rich, we've talked about this on the show many times before. MSPs are moving more towards delivering more of these cybersecurity services and solutions. And, vendors like Acronis are adding these capabilities, making it easier for them to adopt them because, buyers need them. These business owners need these, but we still have a gap in terms of having the staff to deliver and support them. And so the first thing that I'll say, Rich, is, in order to compete for today's higher priced, engineers and technicians, cybersecurity experts, and things like that, MSPs have to, be profitable. They have to make sure that they're delivering their services profitably and they're growing their businesses because in order to to compete for these higher paid resources, they have to compete from a compensation perspective. So we've got to be able to offer attractive salaries, benefits, and comp and bonuses to attract these folks if we want to compete. So that's number one. We've got to be attractive from a compensation perspective, not only for new technicians to come on board, Rich, but in order to keep the resources that we have. We want to make sure that we are delivering a competitive bonus and compensation and benefits package to our existing staff so that we don't lose them as well. So compensation is one. Work culture. Number two, Rich, we have to, promote and manage and maintain a very healthy work culture, something that employees appreciate and they feel like they can get behind. You and I had a conversation recently about work culture, as I recall, and how important it is, and making sure that we're working towards improving work-life balance. Sometimes better work-life balance, Rich, and flexibility in working hours and things like hybrid versus being in the office and things like that, can be more important than, a couple grand in competitive salary for folks, right? Third thing, Rich, outsourcing. There are lots of opportunities. There's lots of resources out in the channel, many more available today than when I was running my IT practice, my MSP back in the day, that are really focused on helping cover the gap for maybe level one support, maybe even higher level support. So how do we overcome this skills gap? Look towards opportunities to outsource some of the noise of the business that you're operating, like the level one stuff, to allow you to get the most out of your existing staff, delivering these higher valued, more profitable services. Again, allowing you to grow your business, keep your existing staff, and maybe compete more effectively for new talent when you need it. Third,
All three of those are really great, Eric. The first two in particular remind me immediately of a conversation I had just a few months back with Peter Kujawa, who runs the service leadership division for ConnectWise. So you were talking about profitability and you were talking about culture. Late last year, service leadership published some research with some slightly counterintuitive results where the least operationally mature MSPs, and they are all, according to service leadership data, not just less profitable, they are unprofitable. Every MSP in that bottom quartile is losing money. And they raised pay for technicians more than the most operationally mature top quartile MSPs did. And the reason for that, basically, as Peter explained it, is it can be a painful experience to work for an operationally immature MSP. That, from a cultural standpoint, from a work atmosphere standpoint, it might be a place you just don't enjoy being. It might be a place where they're not investing in you and your skills and your growth. And it might be a place, just because the business isn't well run by your higher ups, where you are constantly getting yelled at by unhappy customers. That is not a happy experience for anybody. And so that's why these bottom quartile MSPs have to pay more. It's in order to attract and retain talent, you've got to offer a very more than competitive financial deal, or who's going to want to deal with that? And so that, I would roll together culture and profitability as operational maturity. The more mature you are, not only will you be more profitable, but you're going to have an easier time attracting and retaining talent.
Wow, Rich, I'd never considered it quite that way, right? But isn't that its own like self-fulfilling prophecy? I mean, you're just you're buying time, right? But if you don't fix some of these core issues and the pain, everyone has their breaking point, right? It's like, the scenario that I share from time to time where, the guy's walking through the park and he sees somebody sitting on a bench reading a newspaper with a dog on the ground at his feet, howling. And the guy asks the person reading the newspaper, "Hey, what's wrong with your dog?" And the person says, "He's sitting on a nail." Well, why doesn't he move? Doesn't hurt enough yet, right? If you don't address the pain and the challenge and the work culture and the work life balance and all of that, it's only a matter of time before someone reaches the point where they say, "Okay, I'm out." And because it's such a competitive environment right now for these talented individuals, they can just go, a mile away and work for the next MSP, and hoping that is a better, culture and environment for them. So, gosh, it's tough.
It is. But I mean, it's all the more reason to focus on operational maturity, folks, so that you don't have to compete on pay, essentially. And in the course of improving your attractiveness to technicians, they're also improving the profitability of the business. So it's all good stuff, Eric.
Absolutely.